Yes, sir. Question time. Do we have time for any questions? Let me see. You know, we actually do have a little time for questions. So please. Pose your question.
I'd like to ask Charles. Recently, Haley Barbour of Mississippi was interviewed and talked about his own education, and including his education at the University of Mississippi, specifically, and gave what can only be called a revisionist interpretation of contemporary Southern 20th century Southern history. I want to speak directly to what Mr. Barbour said, kind of what it might signify.
I'm from Mississippi. I don't represent the state. And he is my employer. I don't know what really I can say.
Maybe you can say what he said.
Well, I can't tell you exactly, but it was something along the lines of being interviewed, and he said that his generation, he seemed to be taking some credit, his generation, for the advancements that were made in race relations and civil rights. And he said that he had gone to integrated college and had thought nothing of the fact that there were African Americans at the University of Mississippi at that time. I think there were, I'm not sure, I didn't do the research. He either entered the university in 64 or 65. If he entered in 64, there were 2 African Americans in the student population. If it were the next year, there were certainly fewer than a half a dozen. By the time he graduated, or would have graduated, there would have been perhaps 39 or 40. I think it's common knowledge that Haley Barbour did not graduate from the university. He never graduated, but he did go to law school in the early 70s. That was, I think, not uncommon that people did that. You know, Rachel Maddow had on her show sort of a rant about this. You know, I'm not sure it really matters. Certainly his view of his generation is not the view of many people of that generation, I think. But he's just trying to put the best face forward on something, and I don't think it's going to sell or convince many people. Do you? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it seemed to me part of his argument was the Republican Party was a departure from the good old boy Democrats, and the Republican Party in the South was the moderate forces on civil rights, which is what I heard him say.
Yeah, and in an interesting way, I think you could almost flip that around, that the Republican Party in the 1940s and 50s was more receptive to civil rights in the South than the Republican Party in the South than the Democratic Party was. And if anything, the roles flipped in the mid-1960s. And the people who were in the Democratic Party who were most hostile left and went to the Republican Party. But, you know, scholars do disagree about this somewhat, I think. But his is certainly not the standard view.